Supermen.
I'm so tired, dude. All right.
I know, man. It's getting
Uh,
there. Ah.
yeah. All right. All right, welcome back to Mild Mannered Supermen, everybody. Hope you're enjoying this journey that me and my brother Jake are going through. We are the Mild Mannered Supermen. Every week, we're going to bring you kind of a new take on a little bit of old school Genesis, one of our favorite things to get together and talk about. If you missed the last two episodes, we focused in on the musical box from Nursery Crime. And last week, we got into the Trespass album a little bit, and we did kind of the really upbeat, fast-paced, The Knife, the closing track of that album. And today, Jake, I just kind of wanted to stick around in the Trespass era because there's just another gem on this album, Stagnation, that I just think is one of the best examples of just very early old school Genesis. And I know, we've both been have both been kind of really taken back by this song. So what do you want to get into tonight with Stagnation?
Yeah, this is one of the probably more underrated Genesis songs. I know you suggested this after we started looking at Trespass just as a whole, kind of obviously, because it's a song on the album. But I was a little taken aback when you said, we should do this immediately after the knife. But I'm really glad you suggested it because this song is a journey. It really takes you on a trip, and it's one that's if you're just kind of listening along to this album at work or something like that, it's easy to miss. It's a nice little ditty. It kind of goes off into left field. It's very instrumental, right? They're probably 80% just instruments, as opposed to some of the other tracks on this album, which are very lyric heavy and dense. Um,
Hmm.
this one I think is a little simpler in that sense, but musically it's far more complex. And to me, this is really Tony Banks' standout song on this album, right? I mean, this is Tony's time to shine, and he really does that in this song.
Well, and man, I mean, just the dueling guitars throughout this song too. I mean, just um the 10 strings. I think Rutherford and Anthony Phillips are both playing 10 string on this
12 string guitars.
12
I got two
12
two
string.
extra strings even.
Tw-
Yeah.
12 strings. Wow. See, that's why you're here, Jake. You're the
Yep.
musical expert. So I'm
Between the
just the
two of
fan.
them,
But
it's 24 strings. So that's
yeah, when I was reading about this song, I think at one point Gabriel said that there was a version that had like 10 different guitars all layered on top of each other. So what would that be? 120 strings
yeah.
in there. So
Well, 12 string guitars. Yeah, this is
the
Trespass just as an album was kind of a new experience for Genesis. It's their sophomore album, but it was far more technical. They had access to a much better recording setup, and
yeah.
they really took advantage of that, right? So the multi-tracking, the ability to kind of multi-track solos and multi-track guitars. You know, I wouldn't say they went wild, but they definitely took advantage of it. And this is another great example. I think there are aspects of the music box that have three um, 12 string guitars playing in parallel, right? And so
Mm.
this is just another example of that. Um, the other part of this is just kind of talking about the instrumentation. There's some really neat keyboard tricks I think that Tony Banks pulls off in this song. And one we're going to hear when we hear the song when a pretty little high lead line comes in, and then it kind of melts off, right? It just there's a modulation where the note just kind of goes boo and falls off.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Looking at the instrumentation of the album and this track in particular, it's a little hard to find specifics on this, right? But I know there mellotron is listed as one of the instruments that Banks plays. He also plays organ, and there's some Hammond organ here. So I initially thought this might be a mellotron, which is a neat little instrument. It was invented in, I think, 1964, the early 1960s. What it uses, Jared, is it's actually a tape loop synthesizer. So when you press a key, the instrument actually plays a little segment of tape, of recorded audio tape, and it can pitch that audio tape based on whatever key you're playing. But you have sound samples in there that are flute or orchestra or chorus. And so I initially thought, well, oh, the cat, that's a mellotron, playing a little flute sample. But it's pretty clear it's actually some sort of synthesizer. I actually did find a story where Tony Banks talks about this, and he what it is it's an electric organ, and it's a tube-driven electric instrument. And in
Mm.
order to get that modulation, that little pitch bend, he just killed the power to the instrument briefly, and the voltage drop as the voltage bleeds out of the instrument causes that audio to just drop off. The boo, you get that.
He's just turning it off, like
He's
powering,
turning the
like
organ
pulling the
off. Yeah, yeah, effectively flipping the switch, turning it off, and then he turns it back on, and you can actually hear a little tonal instability when he first comes back in, and that's the organ actually powering back up again. So that's kind of a neat little trick Banks plays there.
Yeah, I love just some of the little imperfections that are on this album that just I think give it so much character. And that first album was a little bit like a school project for them. This was really them kind of coming into their own. And to your point earlier, I just think Stagnation is one that, as you're just listening through the Trespass album, it almost comes off as multiple songs on the album because of how often it changes. Probably the proggiest thing about this song is that no two bits are alike. It takes you on that journey that you mentioned. And while it's heavily instrumental, the lyrics have a lot of meaning.
Hmm.
Gabriel packs a lot of punch into a small amount of lyrics, and it's going to mean something a little bit different to everybody who listens. But largely this is a song about the aftermath of nuclear war, and it's about a very wealthy man who has buried himself miles beneath the ground and becomes the surviving member of really the only surviving member of the human race, and inherits the whole world. That stagnation in his life comes out pretty significantly. I actually feel when I listen to this song that it's a little bit more about a rebirth of society coming out of uh, this war. And to me, I can hear the bombs drop at the beginning of the song. So that's just how I've always taken it, always knowing that it was about nuclear war, which was just so prominent in the minds of people across the globe in the late 60s, early 70s. Um, but for them to be able to turn it into such a beautiful piece of music, I think is just a testament to how great they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hear that, interestingly enough, in the music itself, right? The music takes you on that journey. We're going to hear the song here in just a second, but it's going to start off pretty strongly in the key of G major, and then move very quickly into D minor, and then the song lingers in D minor.
Hmm.
Uh, then, of course, as we get closer to the end, a theme is introduced that we're going to hear, and that theme is, interestingly enough, in a major, right? So the song actually takes you from G major down into to D minor and then up to A major at the end. So there's a little bit of a kind of a hopeful twinge there at the end.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so let's take a listen. This is from Trespass, Stagnation.
And here we are in the nice, happy world.
Exactly.
A little bit of a turn here.
Yeah, that's what I think, Jake. I see this part
There's
as a
our
very happy world. Um,
The red sky tells his tale. The only listening eye is mine. There is peace amongst the
it's very
hills,
modal.
and the night will cover all my pride. Blessed are they who smile from bodies free. Seems to me like any other crowd who are waiting to be saved.
Here we go.
There's our John Mayhew again on those drums.
Yeah, and John is an interesting story. He disappeared after this album. He apparently moved to Australia to work as a carpenter, which he had done prior to joining Genesis. But he never turned up again until a 2006 reunion where this album was performed, and he actually joined in and played on the drums.
Oh,
Yeah, and a nice little shout out to Genesis's management. They had been saving the royalties he was owed.
no way.
Yeah, and paid him that day.
Oh, wow.
Okay, here's Tony Banks' organ solo that we were talking about. D minor is such a pretty key. There's our. He's just flipped the switch on the. And you hear that kind of instability when it comes back in.
Yeah.
That's powering back up.
That's crazy, dude. I've always listened to this with like bewilderment, and now I know. He was just shutting it down.
It gives such a kind of an otherworldly vibe to it. You only get that from tubes, kids. Hammond organ comes back in. What a vibe.
Eh, and you have to appreciate that part in with your love and your composition of electronic music and how you kind of get that build up,
Yeah,
and then it
the
just
total
and then
drop is a
and then it just drops away. That's
That-
insane.
it is. It's kind of a ballsy move for 1970.
Yeah, yeah. You're just expecting it to continue to thunder and roll, and then the flute comes in as the only
Right.
instrument.
My home, keep outside the night. The ice cold knife has come today.
Peter had some little recording tricks here as well.
Yeah.
He's gonna try and kind of emulate an underwatery sort of voice by singing through a rolled up paper tube.
It's, it's my favorite part.
And will I wait forever beside the silent mirror and fish for bitter minnows amongst the weeds and slimy water?
Such an interesting juxtaposition. He's singing of kind of roots level survival, right? And then here we have this big shift into a positive vibe. Kind of our outro theme here. Now we're going to hear this just repeat and build all the way to the end of the song. But what's unique is that this actually represents that shift into A major. So at this point, we actually have that modulation. We're now a full step higher than we started off.
I mean, I was completely quiet the whole back half of that song. I was completely quiet because I just love it so much. I just get like chills listening to it. And I for the first time ever, I was listening just to that really powerful outro, and to your point, it's like a very hopeful outro. And when all the voices are singing, then let us drink, then let us smile, then let us go, the combination of voices is unlike any other combination of voices on any other Genesis album. And so I think that's got to be the Anthony Phillips, maybe John Mayhew, I don't know. Um, it's a little less Peter Gabriel in there, so there's some Rutherford and Banks singing, and it's just this really interesting um, combination of voices that you get only on this album.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good observation. It certainly is a powerful arrangement, the way that it's put together there. And it's funny because, we were talking a little bit earlier about, how this is a journey song, and as such, it doesn't have kind of the traditional structure of a pop song, or that sort of thing.
Hmm.
It's also very challenging to kind of hum, a part of this song. And when I asked you to do it, Jarrett, this was the part that you hummed, right? That
Yeah.
kind of part at the end there.
Yep.
And that's intentional, I believe. I think as good songwriters, they want that kind of simple, triumphant theme to ring in your head at the end of the song. It's like ringing of the church bells. As a matter of fact, it almost sounds like a peal of church bells ringing. The bomb, 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 bomb,
Hmm.
bomb. I believe that's jumping in fourths or something along those lines, which would actually be very consistent with kind of the harmonic structure of the song, which emphasizes the perfect fourth quite a bit. So, your guess is as good as mine what that actually means, but the end result is a very powerful song.
Well, and as I'm just analyzing it now, it's so compelling to me that the song is about all the other lyrics in the song are really about isolation and loneliness. And, I mean, in the very first bit of lyrics, he talks about he's got the only listening eyes, and it's all about just this loneliness. I want to drink. I will wait forever. Will I wait forever? Just by myself, basically. And then in that upbeat chorus at the end, it's let us drink, let us smile, let us go. So
Mm,
just an interesting little change there. So to me, it just goes back to I feel like this is. Kind of the rebirth of society, the rebirth after something terrible that has happened. So anyway, uh, let's talk about this when let's talk about the live performances a little bit. Anytime this song was performed live, to my knowledge, was after John Mayhew and Ant Phillips had left the band,
mm.
and they had been able to successfully recruit Phil Collins and just a little bit later Steve Hackett. Actually, interestingly, Steve Hackett's advert in the paper mentioned he was like, I'm looking for a band, and if you're looking for a guitar player who's he used the word basically who's not stagnant. He used the word stagnant in his quote,
Oh,
and
that's
he joked later on that maybe that there was some connective tissue there. Um, and then uh, this album actually shot up to number 1 in Belgium. And so there was a funny story I was reading just two or 3 days ago about them hopping on a ferry and traveling overnight to Belgium, and Phil Collins was throwing up like seasick over the side of the vessel. And they got out and they went on stage and they performed some pretty deep cuts at the time in Belgium, and Stagnation was one of those deep cuts. And Gabriel introduced the song as a song that was about people with bad breath. So, like, yeah. So, I mean, some of the stuff that he said on stage is just really cracks me up. And I have I have reason to believe that there is audio recording of that concert. So, if anybody out there listening can send that to us, we would love to have that. And I'm going to keep searching for it as well.
that's a great story. It's funny. The, these musicians who perform night after night after night, right? And they do the same songs. It's a little different for prog rock guys, but after 100 shows, it's kind of all the same. I heard Beck's song "Where It's At" the other day, and got me thinking. What what is this song about? Turns out that it was ultimately a song he wrote about the boredom of performing every night to an audience that isn't really listening to your songs, right? So he would just write these kind of nonsense songs to see if anybody would keep up with him, and that's kind of where that song came from. And you'd have to think Peter Gabriel was not too far off of that sentiment, right? How many?
I
This is a
yeah.
song about people who like stinky cheese.
Yeah. Um, and then, so I think, quite surprisingly, but just a testament to the song, they actually, when they would play the old medley all the way through the 80s, um, that bit that we keep talking about at the end of the song, kind of the church bell hopeful bit, they musically worked into that old medley. And there would be 40, 50,000 people doing the humming along to this relatively obscure song, but it just shows how Genesis fans really are very aware of this song, very in love with this song. And that's why I just felt like before we left the Trespass album, if we are to leave it, um it was really important to get this one in. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I appreciate your insights on it too. I learned a lot.
Well, that's what we're here for.
All right. Well, we are mild mannered supermen. We love doing this and bringing these to you. Leave us some feedback, some comments in the section below. If you want to vote on what song we should do next, that poll is still active on the Musical Box podcast on Spotify. Check us out on YouTube. We're also on TikTok. That one's fun. We've got like 2,600 followers now on TikTok, and they're digging the podcast, digging the posts that we're putting up there, kind of in chronological order of all things Genesis and all things solo careers from all the guys. So we will keep doing this for you, and we look forward to the next one.
Thanks. let me give you something a little bit better. It was awesome,
Well,
Jarrett. Thanks. Goodbye. Oh, damn it.
we got to work on our outros.
Yeah, we definitely do. All right, let me give you one more. Yeah, it was a great time.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Jarrett.
Uh...
Mild mannered Superman.